As the group scanned the map for guidance, they noticed that all the areas closer to the shelter were more green, while the areas that were a bit further away were redder. The one area which had the darkest red of them all was the harsh, sandy desert. Quinn decided to pick up the book, which was sealed by a lock, so that others couldn't open it and read it unless they paid for it. A book containing information on beasts belonging to the planet Kaladi, read the cover. Teeth worm, basic tier beast. Winged lizard, basic tier beast. Burning snake, intermediate tier beast. Please select one to find out more information. As he looked at the list of names, Quinn was deciding which one of the three was the beast that Nate had talked about. Out of the three of them, only one had matched the description. It was the winged lizard. Winged lizard. Although this beast contains wings, it cannot fly. They are also the hardest part of the beast's body. The weak point of the beast is its underbelly. It can be found in the deepest parts of the desert. The description seemed to match the material of Sam's cape, but if Quinn wanted to make a full set of clothing from it, he would definitely need a large amount of beast's cores. While he was there, he decided he might as well look at the other beasts. There was always the chance to encounter them, and if they did, it would be handy to know their strengths and weaknesses. "Hey you, if you're not buying anything, then get out of here." "I was just looking," Quinn said. The old man then walked over and snatched the book out of Quinn's hand. "I said get out now, or else." "You're lucky that people are around," Quinn said as he walked away. When Quinn arrived back at the group had decided that for the first day, they would head to one of the green areas nearby. After defeating a few basic tier beasts, they would make their way into the red zone. Although Quinn was eager to go into the red zone to get his crystals, he was happy with the decision they had made. As the group made their way towards their destination, Quinn and Vorden were in the lead and were talking about different things. "You know, while you were in that shop, Peter kept saying some weird things," Vorden said. "Do you think they might plan to do something on this trip?" Quinn asked. "I doubt it. Unlike the red portal places, there are too many people here. But the important thing is that Peter believes that they will." The area they chose to go to on the map was a small little oasis. The area was filled with beasts, known as teeth worms. They would travel under sand, but were easy to spot, as a big lump of moving sand was coming towards you. When they were close enough, they would pop out from the sand and open their circular mouth, displaying thousands of small razor-sharp teeth inside. Peter and Quinn stayed in the middle while they allowed for the others to attack the worms. Vorden and Aaron found it the easiest to deal with the worms. Layla, on the other hand, found it a little more difficult. Even when using her telekinesis ability, her arrow was too slow. The arrow would hit the sand before even hitting the beast. The only way she could overcome this was to not use her ability at all and just fire at the worms with no fear. Still, it would take a couple of arrow shots for her before the worms were dead. As Quinn saw the group killing basic beasts left and right, he felt a little sad. Not because he couldn't join in. He was happy that others were fighting, but the fact that all of these kills could have been precious experience for him. As he had this thought, a familiar voice sounded in his head. "You know, if you bloodied one of them, you would be able to gain EXP for all their kills," the system said. Quinn thought about it seriously for a while. She had already asked him to turn her into a vampire, and no, he really could. While thinking about whether or not to blood Layla, Quinn decided he would leave it to her and would ask her later. While the group was busy fighting away on the outside, one of the worms managed to wiggle past their formation and was heading straight for Quinn. As soon as the worm had reached the shade of the umbrella, Quinn grabbed the worm midair by the end of its tail. "So ugly," Quinn said as he squeezed it tightly with his bare hands. The center of its body was strung like a towel as black blood fell to the floor. "Basic beast killed. 10 EXP earned. First teeth worm killed, 100 bonus EXP gained. You are now level 1. 70 of 200 EXP. Strength, 16. Stamina, 15. Agility, 16. Charm, 5. You have received 2 stat points." The group had taken out a total of 9 teeth worms together. "Was this here before?" Peter said, staring at the thing. The next thing he knew, out from the mound of sand, another teeth worm came jumping out. All panicked, Peter fell to the floor and completely forgot about the earth staff he held on his back. But before the earthworm could reach him, a spear of ice came rushing from the side and killed it in one shot. Right by the oasis, another group had witnessed the whole thing and couldn't help but laugh at Peter's reaction. The leader of the group was named Ben, and he wielded a large club on his back. "Boss, watch out!" one of them shouted as a teeth worm jumped from the side. He reached out for the club on his back and was ready to slam the thing to pieces. Instead, an ice spear came out from the side and accurately stabbed it through its body and onto the sand. "You don't mind if I take that one's beast crystal, do you?" Aaron said, walking over. "Sure, go ahead," Ben replied with a fake smile. The teeth worms were no longer jumping out and attacking, and now they had time to collect the beast crystals. "How much did we get?" Ben asked. "A total of 4, boss." "Seriously?" As Ben looked over, he noticed that the other group must have obtained over 10, more than double their haul. Then he noticed something else as well. The boy at the back of the group, Peter, didn't seem to gel as well with the others. In fact, it was almost as if they were treating him as an outcast. "You're only as strong as your weakest link," Ben said with a smile. All crystals that were handed into the military base would be counted towards their points. However, the military would keep 10% of whatever they gave in to be counted. So instead, Quinn decided to keep the crystal inside his system, where it couldn't be found and sold later. The sun was still burning brightly, and it didn't look like it would set any time soon, but they knew they had been out for at least 6 hours. Then they headed straight for the military base, which was located at the center of the shelter. This was a square-like building that had several different departments, but for the next week, just in front of the building was a small stand for students. At the stand was a single adult soldier, and behind him a large digital screen. The digital screen behind him was suddenly updated. The name Layla could be seen, and the number 15 was displayed next to it. While looking at the board, Quinn also spotted Logan's name, who was second on the leaderboard with 24 points. He hadn't spotted him since this expedition, but knew he would be here since he was a first-year student. "I guess that's what a power level 8 can do. He must have some pretty strong teammates with him as well," Quinn thought. Before they were to head off to sleep for the night or day, they decided that they should have a group meeting on the kitchen table. The 5 of them sat down, and Erin was the first to speak. She said, "As you all know, my goal is to come out as one of the top teams during this assessment. Right now, we're just above average, and I can't accept that. That's why I think tomorrow we should head into the red zone." "I think we're strong enough," Vorden added, "but the problem is these two." The 2 people Vorden was talking about were, of course, Peter and Quinn. To be honest, Quinn wanted to go to the red zone too. Most likely, the winged lizard lived there, but he had planned to go there when the day cycle had changed to night. Aaron said, "As you can see on the map, there is a safe zone just outside of the red zone. Most likely it's a territory where 2 different beasts clash, so they don't cross each other's path. The 2 can wait there while we go inside and attack." After hearing Aaron's suggestion, Quinn didn't think it was too bad. If they were to leave him and Peter alone, then perhaps Quinn could sneak off at some point to hunt the winged lizards on his own. When leaving in the morning, it looked like their group wasn't the only one heading for the red zone. There were a total of 4 other groups altogether. "That's our competition," Aaron said, looking towards one of the groups who walked in front. "You see the boy at the front with the red hair? It's the trait of the Redshield family. All originals who learn their magic acquire the ability of fire." "The ability of fire, huh?" Borden looked at the red-haired student for some time, trying to think up an idea. But the one that interested Quinn wasn't the fire user. Instead, it was Logan, who was also part of one of the groups heading to the red zone. "I wonder what his ability really is," Quinn thought. It had to be impressive to be able to get the second highest score. Throughout the whole time the 2 of them were together, Quinn still hadn't figured it out. And for some reason, Quinn felt like it was rude to ask. Most high levels would keep their ability secret. If 2 people were to get in a fight knowing their ability beforehand was a huge advantage. While the rest of the groups continued to move forward, though, Aaron's group had decided to change direction, slightly heading off to the left. "Are you sure you're going to be okay?" Vorden asked. "Don't worry about it. If trouble comes our way, I have a trick up my sleeve to fight them off," Quinn replied. "You see that building up ahead? It looks like an abandoned well of some sort. We will wait for you there, and come get us on the way back." "Boss, it looks like the group is split into 2. Maybe the strong ones are heading to the red zone. Who should we follow?" one of the men said to Ben. "We stick to the plan," Ben said. "I managed to do some research on their group yesterday. It turns out that their group had 2 level 5 power users, and wait for it, 2 level 1s if you can believe it." "Seriously? They must be like the only level 1s in their whole class. They would probably get in the way if they were to fight. If we take their crystals they got yesterday, then we will climb up from the bottom of the leaderboard." Back at the red zone, Vorden and the others had finally arrived. Most of the groups had spread out from each other, making sure that they didn't get in the way of each other's hunting process. The red zone was filled with winged lizards. Before hunting one of the beasts, the group stayed and watched patiently for one of the other groups to attack first. A single person would walk up to the group of lizards and send out an attack, catching the attention of a single beast. Then the person would lead the lizard to the group, and they would all attack it at once. They were being cautious not to attract the attention of all the lizards after all. The lizard would constantly block attacks from the beast weapons and certain abilities using the wings attached to its arms. Eventually, they would manage to defeat it. But while the other group struggled, one was finding it easy, and that was the one with the flame user named Berg. Berg's flames were stronger than the beast wings, and it didn't matter what it did, it would be set aflame, and sooner or later the beast would die. Watching this, Vorden had an even bigger smile on his face. Now, only if there was some other flame user in our group. After watching the other groups deal with the winged lizards, Vorden and his group decided to implement a similar strategy. Layla would be the first to approach one of the rocks, and then fire out an arrow, hitting the foot of one of the lizards. The lizard followed the arrow easily, and now it was Vorden and Aaron's turn to deal with the beast. "You idiot," Rayton said. "You know from watching the others that it won't work." "Either shut up or help," Vorden shouted, as he continued to throw the ice spikes. But proceeding this way would take far too long. Before he knew it, he could see Aaron up in the air with her long sword held in her hand. As she fell to the ground, she sliced downward at the beast's wing. Now, with one wing frozen in place, Vorden was finally able to throw an ice spear directly into its body, killing it. "Did we finally do it?" Layla said, looking at the thing. She quickly extracted the crystal and placed it inside her small bag for now. "This is a problem," Aaron said. "It is taking us far too long to kill a single one of them. Even if there are many, it takes 3 of us just to kill one. We would be better off searching for another group of teethworms at this point." Then they heard cheering coming from their left side. The group with Berg in charge had just finished burning 5 of them to a crisp at once. The look on Aaron's face was currently one of disgust. "Come on, let's just go into one of the other areas and find a bunch of teethworms to deal with." "Hold on," Vorden shouted. "I have a plan." Berg and his group had just finished killing their 8 lizards and were currently resting for a bit. He needed time to recover his MC points before he could use his abilities again. "I still have a long way to go," Berg said, looking at his hand. Every original family was different when it came to teaching their members about their powers. They had their own methods, and for the Redshields, it was all about discovery. "Hey, Berg, watch out!" a voice from the side said. As he looked up, he noticed a human body was flying his way, and before he knew it, they had crashed into him. The 2 of them tumbled into the sand and eventually stopped. How could she do that to her own teammate?" Vorden said as he lifted himself off the ground. "I'm sorry about that. Do you need a hand?" Just then, Vorden reached out his hand and lifted Berg. "Hey, what do you guys think you're doing?" another person said as he came running over. "You just barged into our leader." "Enough, Lippy," said Berg. "I'm sure it was an accident." Lippy, who was also a part of Berg's team, was surprised by his actions. If a person usually did something like this, he would have burnt them by now. But the reason was simple. When Berg looked at Vorden's watch, it currently displayed the power level of 8 on it. "We're sorry," Layla said as she came running over with Aaron behind. "Our idiot teammate was being annoying, and I just needed to throw him somewhere." "Don't worry about it," Berg said. "Accidents happen." After apologizing, the 3 of them decided to leave the group be and go hunting once again. Vorden, now having the flame abilities, was ready to burn some lizards. "Why did you let them go off like that?" Lippy asked. "That person, he was a level 8 user. Let's keep an eye on them for a little bit," Berg said. Berg had seen the group just go behind one of the stones. Why did they choose to move, he thought. After walking around one of the large rocks in the center, he could see Vorden and his team. Just as Berg saw them, he could see Vorden burning one of the winged lizards using his fire powers. "What? But how?" Lippy said. "Is he part of the Redshields?" "No, I've never seen him in my life. It looks like we've got some questions to ask." While Aaron was busy carving out the beast to find its crystal, a fireball was spotted coming towards them. "Look out!" Layla shouted. At the last second, Vorden turned his head and fired a fireball of his own equal in size. As the 2 fireballs clashed, a small explosion was created, and sparks of flame flew out onto the sound. "You must be dealt with. No one is allowed to learn the secrets of the flame," Berg shouted. Shooting out fire from the palm of his hands, Berg propelled himself into the air. A stream of fire was seen coming from the bottom of his hands and feet. It looked almost like he was flying in the air. Spinning flame kick. Using one of his legs, the fire would shoot out from the back of his heel, causing him to spin. then with the other leg would let out multiple blades of fire. "Damn it, I can't do that!" Vorden shouted. As the blades of fire were coming towards them, Vorden lifted both hands, creating a small wall of fire. If Vorden thought he was safe, though, he was wrong. As the blades of fire touched the wall, it ripped right through and continued to go past. By now, Layla and Aaron had long moved to the side and became spectators of the whole thing, and the same could be said for Berg's teammates as well. "What is going on?" Aaron asked. "I don't know, but I do know Vorden knows how to annoy a load of people. Perhaps this is just one of them," Layla said. "This guy is pretty good," Lippy said, watching the whole thing from the side. The second Berg landed on the ground. He dashed forward, using the flames once again to propel him. Vorden fired fireball after fireball, but then Berg just covered his hands in flames and would knock them away. "Looks like your fire is no stronger than mine, you thief," he shouted. Then, with his hands covered in flames, he went for a punch towards Vorden's face. He could see it coming and was planning to duck, but suddenly the fist sped up in an instant and knocked Vorden into the ground, with his head bouncing off the sand. Vorden laid on the ground, unmoving with his eyes closed. "What should we do?" Layla asked. "Should we go over and help him?" "I don't think they'll kill him," Aaron replied. "There are too many people here he would have to silence." "Well, he's from the Big Four, right? Would the school really do anything?" Standing right over Vorden was Berg. He continually looked at Vorden's still body. "Why isn't Boss doing anything?" Lippy said as he watched. He couldn't explain it himself, but for some reason, he felt like if he touched Vorden at this moment, he would be the one lying on the ground. Then, a few seconds later, Vorden's eyes opened. Quinn and Peter had been walking for a good 15 minutes as they headed to what looked like a little abandoned well. While the two of them were walking, not one of them had said a word to each other, and Quinn was the type that hated an awkward silence between two people. In the end, he gave in and just had to say something. "Why did you do it?" Quinn said. Peter didn't have to ask what he was talking about. It was as clear as day. They continued walking for a while longer until eventually Peter replied, "I don't want to make any excuses. I know what I did was terrible. But you don't understand, Quinn. I was scared. They had already gone for Vorden and managed to catch him. Then they went after me and—" "Enough!" Quinn snapped back. "I don't want to hear any more. You were right the first time when you said you weren't going to make any excuses. When someone does something wrong, everyone has a reason, be it good or bad. But after everything we had done for you, why didn't you come to us?" "Could you really help me, Quinn? Would you be saying the same thing if you knew who was behind everything?" Peter asked. "Did you give us a chance?" Quinn replied. "Do you know the saying, you miss all the shots you don't take?" The two of them had finally arrived at the village, and Quinn turned around to look at Peter. He could see his teary face. "When you chose to go against us that day, Peter, you were the one who had given up. You didn't try taking a shot and made your chances go down to 0. The two of them looked around the abandoned well. In the center was a giant machine used to draw water. It had rusted, and just from looking at it, you could tell it hadn't been used in a while. The only other thing in the place were two abandoned buildings. One room was completely bare apart from a single window, while the other building had a couple of broken wooden bed frames. After taking off the rucksack and putting it on the old bed, Peter finally laid down and was getting some rest. "I'm going to go exploring around for a little bit. Are you all right to stay here? Don't worry, I won't be going too far." "Are you sure you're going to be safe?" Peter said. "Yeah, as long as you aren't behind my back, I'll have nothing to worry about," Quinn said jokingly. "Sorry, that was a low blow." Quinn pictured the map in his head. He remembered the red zone was quite a large circular area. They had just come from the left direction, which was where Vorden and the others went. So as long as Quinn went right and forward, he should be in a different area of the red zone. With that, he decided to head off into the desert with his umbrella in his hand. Watching all of this happen was Ben and his group. "It looks like the two of them have split up. You three go for the kid with the umbrella. Take off everything, even his money card, and get him to transfer everything over. Me and Hugo will go get rid of the other one." They did as told, and 3 of their men went off to follow Quinn into the desert, while Ben and his friend Hugo had decided to enter the same building that Peter was in. In the desert, before Quinn had even reached the red zone, he could hear the sounds of people getting closer to him. His vision wasn't as great in the sunlight. It was about the only thing that was still affected while in the sun, but his hearing was always top-notch. "Who sent you?" Quinn said without turning around. "That's none of your business now, is it?" one of the students said. "Now you better listen to what we say or else." "Or else what?" Quinn said as he turned. "I'm sorry some people think I'm a bit slow." The students then lifted up their watches to each reveal their levels. One was a level 4 student, and the other 2 level 3s. "I hope you understand," the level 4 user said. "Oh, I see. Because you're a higher level than me, I should be scared now, right? I should obey everything you do, because I don't want to be hurt." Skill active Shadow Void. Suddenly, from underneath Quinn's feet, his shadow started to spread. It grew and grew until it encompassed a large area in complete darkness. The shadows that formed the walls were continually moving. From the outside, it looked like a giant cloud storm. Quinn then tapped his watch 3 times and lifted it up for them to see. The number had changed. He was now a level 6. Vorden stood there, standing in the sand. He hadn't moved for a few seconds now, and his head was facing the floor. From the top of his head, a trickle of blood was dripping down onto his forehead, and little by little, droplets would fall to the ground. "Why is the boss just standing there?" Lippy asked. The truth was, Berg couldn't explain it himself. Something about the person he was facing a few seconds ago had suddenly changed. He felt the same presence as when he was just about to face one of the elders in his own family. Then, for the first time since being beaten to the floor, Vorden had moved. He lifted his hand and wiped the blood away before staring at it on his sleeve. "You guys said you would protect me." "Hey, don't look at me, Syl," Rayton said. "Vorden was the one who got knocked out before I could even do anything." "Maybe it's time for a change," Syl said. "What, and leave this person in charge?" Vorden argued. "If you do this, you will be lonelier than before. Even Quinn won't stay by your side." "Quinn. Ah, yes, Quinn," Syl said as he looked around at where he was. "I don't see any Quinn." "This will be good," Rayton said. "Hey, Syl, that man in front of you is hiding Quinn from us." Syl then looked at Berg up and down and started to walk towards him, but his face wasn't peaceful or anything. It was like that of a demon. The anger could be felt, the emotion, everything. Berg could feel it just coming from his face. "Stay back!" Berg shouted as he covered his forearms and fist in flames once again. As Syl took another step forward, Berg was at his limit and knew he needed to attack now. Placing both hands together, he started to fire a pillar of flames from his hand like a flamethrower. As the fire came towards him, Syl swung his hands, lifting a pile of sand with it and dropping it straight on the flames, causing it to extinguish. "When did he get my ability?" Layla said, watching the fight. "And why is it stronger than mine? I could never lift that amount of sand." "Vorden's ability is strange," Aaron said, "but if I remember correctly, he could control 2 abilities. Perhaps it has something to do with that?" Seeing this, Berg too was shocked. He had thought Vorden was just someone who had learnt the family secret, maybe tortured one of their members into teaching it to them. But now suddenly he was using another ability. But how was this possible? While Berg was shocked by the whole thing, he started to feel an icy presence climb up from his feet. "What is this?" he said as he saw his 2 legs freezing. In an instant, he activated the fire to cover his legs, causing it to melt the ice. But all Syl wanted to do was stall him for a second or so as he formed an ice spear and threw it directly at his shoulder.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.